Hey everybody, Ken here. Nope, that's how I start the vlog. Welcome to the Overlay, a poker podcast brought to you by CCG Poker Radio and Paramount Social Club from Houston, Texas. I almost said Houston, Illinois, but that's not true. It's in Texas. Correct?
Correct.
We're joined today by Brandon. Hey, Brandon.
What's up?
You're back.
I'm back.
We missed you. Yeah, we've been doing some more interview-y type ones, some guests, hosts. You didn't listen to any of them, and I kind of bashed you in the last episode.
This is true.
I told Sarah from Poker Power, and I was like, you're such a nice co-host, and it's nice. She was like complimentary, and she's like, oh, Ken, you have a great radio voice. I did prompt her to say it, so it's not like she just of her own accord was like out of the blue. I was like, do you like my how I just switched gears here into my awesome announcer voice when I do the beginning? She's like, yeah, it's great.
I noticed that your voice sounded a little different this time.
No, see, you always make me doubtful. Now I'm like, does my voice sound weird? Am I going to talk funny all day?
No, it's not. It's not bad. It's just like I feel like now that you haven't been doing the every single day vlog,
right? Maybe I'm not. My like chops are not like my vocal exercises need to be better.
Yeah,
I need to like warm up more.
Because you got to warm up because you can't just dive right into it.
Because typically, like it's like basketball. Like if you play every day, you're going to be better than if you play like once a week. Correct. Episode 23 is the State of Live Poker during COVID-19 Part 5. It's been about a month, maybe 5 weeks, maybe even 6 weeks since the last time we did a COVID-19 kind of state of poker. So
which
I thought
we went off on a crazy rant on, right?
I think I did. But yeah, I wanted to definitely try to avoid the spectacle of Ken going crazy. But I'm also in a better place. Like I'm not as crazy as I was like 5 weeks ago.
Well, that was like the end of quarantine, right?
Yeah, that was
5 weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm looking at it was June 25th. So it was like literally the week before we kind of got out of quarantine. So that's 100 days of like solitary confinement. I was just
right, and like built up rage.
Yes. I am much, much happier now, 30 something days later. Like I said, 5 weeks later, we've been having live poker here in Chicago at CCG to, I would say, pretty phenomenal results. Yeah.
Yeah, I think overall
it's been busy. Cash games are up. The tournaments are crazy. Now, again, there's only one tournament a day. Normally there's 4. So, I mean, technically, I guess there's 2 tournaments a day because we've been doing that 2-tabled scheduled.
Go.
Yeah, the sit and go. So that's been good. Those have fired off every single time to the point where we almost have to we almost have too many players.
Yeah, it's like close now. I wish players would this is my little bit of a rant. I'm just diving right in.
Nice.
I wish players would kind of realize that, like, hey, if there's ever a time to like maybe not come and play a cash game at CCG, it's at like 2:30 on a Saturday. You know what I mean? Like,
I try to put it in the vlog.
So many slots of like we
good
are
times.
tailoring to the cash game players
optimal
90%
times
of the time.
Yep.
Like Thursday, Friday, anytime after 4, we're starting the cash game before sit and go. We're not doing extra tournaments. We're telling Mo we can only have one table in his sit and go, not 2. For his like random ones that he pops off, not the scheduled one. You know, we're really tailoring towards the cash game guys almost all the time. One of the times that we're going to tailor towards the tournament guys is the Saturday 120 deep stack. We just got to bite the bullet, and I mean, it's
from like 2 o'clock until like 4:30, 5. Yeah, because really the problem is you've got, and this is part of the state of live poker, right? Like, which would bring me to a couple different things that I want to talk about today. One, I mean, with CCG, Saturday seems to be the most popular day. Obviously, it's the best priced tournament. And being that there's only one tournament a day, like all of the tournament players show up. And there's a big core group of people that play the 120 deep stack. And typically, you've got options to play the 120 deep stack on Friday night. You got a 120 deep stack on Saturday afternoon. You got a pretty good sized tournament on Sundays. Sometimes it's bigger, but
because even if you don't want to do the bigger one, then you can play the Sunday special, which is like the deep stack format for only $50.
Correct. You get like a half price discount. So you either play the bigger tournament or not. So there's tons of action to play it. And then the nice thing is if you come and play the deep stack on a Saturday, like legit, you can show up at 2 o'clock on a normal pre-COVID event at CCG. You come at 2 o'clock, you play the early bird, literally just to warm up. It's like stretching. It's poker stretching. right?
Right.
Then you get into the 4 o'clock deep stack, playing that until, 7, 8 o'clock bust because you get a crappy hand and you get ousted. No big deal. Then you can hop right into like the late night, or, like there's always a 6:30 tournament on Saturday with late registration until like 7. So like there's so many different things you can do. There's so many tournament players that are just like, all right, I'm going to play these 3 events, and depending on how I do, obviously, if I play longer, it's great. And there's no restriction on table space. There's no restriction other than fire code. There's no restriction on tables, and it's a really good experience. Now take that into COVID time, right? Current state of poker. Now we're down to 6-handed tables. You're only allowed to have 6 tables at a time because we have to save some for cash game players, right? That means you've got 36 people are going to get in the deep stack at the start. How often would you say in the last 4 or 5 Saturdays that we've had events, how many times did the tournament start by 2:05, which is kind of rarity in itself, and it's maxed out at 36 players?
Right. I think every single time.
I think every single time it's happened because people like I've been getting.
Keep in mind, we aren't even promoting, like, this isn't even a stack or anything.
Right. This is just a standard 120 deep stack, $10 add-on, 30K in chips, 20-minute levels. I mean, it's a good structured deep stack. Don't get me wrong, but like
it's great.
It's tons of value there, and we're not just saying that because it's the main sponsor.
We're not even promoting it as like the tournament of the month, where
right, like the stack, which we won't be able to do until we move to phase 5 because it's impossible. Right. I mean, now you're talking about getting double starting chips. You're getting 60K in chips. Like that's bananas.
10 levels of late registration.
Correct, and 10 levels of late reg. So it means your normal deep stack only gets 5 levels of late registration. Now you get 10 with the stack. But anyways, that's not really. I'm getting a little off of just giving us the basics of a deep stack. But I mean, now the problem is, at CCG, problem is between 2 o'clock and 5 o'clock, we're getting in as many people as possible because there's still 60 people showing up for the deep stack to start at 2 o'clock. But the problem is those guys that normally come late, which is 100% their right? The whole point of late registration is you don't have to be there for the early levels. I'm a big proponent of not coming early to a tournament because I don't see the huge value. I've got 30K in chips. Why the heck do I want to play 100? Like, the pots are small. I'm cool. I would rather take my time, get there a little late, not worry about it. Like, I like that kind of atmosphere.
Coffee,
exactly. Go get lunch, whatever it is. Like, you and I typically, when we go to like a WSOP Pot Limit Omaha tournament, like, you and I both know exactly what time late registration closes, and we get there maybe a little bit beforehand, right?
Right, like the break before registration closes, like 3 levels before. Yeah. Usually the break before the registration closes is about the time we start.
But I don't think I've ever started.
5, we're going to get there at 7:30 because registration closes at 8:30 or 9.
Correct, and I might want to fire a couple of bullets, 2 bullets, whatever the case may be. But those players, the people like you and I that like to come late and get in like the early to mid levels, that they don't really get to do that, and they can do that, and it's perfectly fine. The problem is, we're at max capacity for table space, which means you're going to be number 10 or 12 on the alternate list, which means you have to wait for 10 people to get knocked out of the tournament before you can get in. Correct?
Right. Correct.
So the problem with that is it's the, players don't want to wait. But the problem is if you roll in there and you peg the time perfect, it's like the guy who comes in at 2:30, he's like, well, can I play the deep stack? No, you're number 15 on the alternate list. Cool. Can I play cash game? No, you're number 13 on the cash game list. Well, what the hell am I supposed to do? I don't know. Get there earlier. Like 2:30 to 3:30 is the absolute worst time to play anything on a Saturday at CCG because it's going to be full. Everything's full. There are no sit and goes that are going to happen. The tournament's happening, but you got to wait in line. Cash games are happening, but you got to wait in line. Like, it's the one time you get rewarded for coming early. You get to play and get in faster. And then the funny thing is, I have also noticed another state of live poker during COVID. People play much tighter because of the fact, old days, right? You got a 5-table deep stack with a couple of open seats all over the place, right? They're all like 7, 8, 9-handed tables, yeah?
Right.
People can play a little looser. You can make some grabs at some flush draws because you know damn well that you can just go back up and re-register as a new player for a late entry or a re-entry tournament. Huge difference between rebuy and reentry. We've talked about that, I think, in episode 2. Let's go back and listen to that if you don't know what we're talking about. Yeah. But, I mean, the play is different because now it's like, man, if I screw this up and I get knocked out, I'm going to have to wait 45 minutes, maybe an hour to get back in. And I'm going to miss all those levels. I mean, correct, yeah. This definitely induces action, or what's the right terminology I want to call it?
I mean, reduces. Induces inactivity or reduces action, yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to think of the best way to say that. But you're right. It's encouraging players to play a little bit tighter. It's just the way it is because people don't want to get knocked out and have to wait. Like, you're a little bit more... It's kind of like the WSOP Main Event. Well, it's the main event, right? Like, there's no re-entry. There's no rebuy. Like, your tournament life, if it's over, it's over. You got to wait till next year to play again. So I feel like at some point people make decisions based on that, whereas if you're playing a regular 120 deep stack on a Friday at CCG pre-COVID, I got a flush draw. I'm like 60-40 flip. Yeah, get it in there. I'm cool.
You got ace queen. You're like, he might have ace king here, but maybe he's just got ace jack or pocket nine.
Maybe he's making a move. I'm gonna rip it anyways with my ace jack or ace queen. See what happens.
So then that actually compounds it because now you have people playing tighter, which means you have less spots opening up, which means that people waiting longer.
Correct. The whole point of my rant there was that, the actual delays get longer because normally people get busted out pretty quickly because the ranges are much bigger. People are playing much more actively because, again, there's no wait to get in, right?
Yep.
Do you think people do that at restaurants? Like, if you're at a restaurant and maybe that doesn't work, like, do you eat slower? Do you eat slower when there's a long wait, or do you eat faster, or do you just eat normal?
I think you're not. It doesn't look like.
Bad example.
You're going to eat again.
Forget I said anything about restaurants.
Yeah.
What else we got going on for live poker?
I was trying to save you there with another example, but I couldn't come up.
With anything. That's all right. Are there any other poker rooms in the Midwest that are doing other than charity poker here in Chicago?
No.
I think it's still out, right? Any word on the Horseshoe from your inside sources?
My inside sources say it doesn't look good.
Outlook, not so good. That's my magic 8-ball shaking, and then it pops over and it says Outlook, not good. But again, the Outlook's not good because there's still unlimited space, and the casinos want slot machines. They don't care about table games. I mean, they care about table games, but table games are like a moderate loss leader. Those are not the games that the players or that the people who own casinos want. They want slot machines.
Yep.
I like it because
it's strictly a bad outlook due to like profitability.
It's a profitability issue. It is not a safe issue, right?
Right.
Which is good. I mean, they can play it off as any way they want, but really poker players always get the last thoughts from a casino. All the table games, which are the least profitable out of all of the games played at a casino, then you take the least profitable table game of the least profitable sector of a casino, and what do you get? Absolutely nothing from the casinos. They just, they don't, not they don't value business, because I think the Horseshoe does a great job with poker. I mean, they do a lot of really good tournaments, and the cash games there are always great. But it's the same thing. Like, people always get pissed when they go to the Horseshoe on a Saturday night. And Brandon, how long is the line or the list on a Saturday night for a 1-2 game at the Horseshoe in Hammond?
I mean, it's long.
Yeah, it's like 60 people deep, right?
I mean, yeah, it gets long.
Yeah, I mean, it's and then they're like, well, why don't you do this? Why? It's just like, guys, it is what it is. Like, if you go to the times that are busy and then be mad at the casino or the poker room that's busy at that time, like, I don't know what else you want to do. Be happy that there's poker players playing poker.
Right. Be happy that there's 60 people that are trying. I mean, it probably means the games are good.
Yeah, it means the games are good. Yeah. I always think that.
4 o'clock on a Tuesday, it's like, well, it's probably the 6 regulars and 2 rocks.
Game's not going to be good. Or maybe it's good. Maybe you're one of those nits and you like to get it in.
I mean,
once.
yeah, maybe it's okay. But in general, when there's 60 people on the list, the games are going to be good. Just wait.
All right.
Go sit in the bar, have a beer.
So I got a couple of things I want to talk about. Yesterday on my phone, I got an update from the MSPT, the Mid-States Poker Tour. that they're restarting poker tournaments, and they go to a lot of like, I guess small to medium-sized casinos, like Potawatomi is a perfect example. So they are doing an event at Potawatomi fairly soon. I want to say it's in September or October. I'm going to look it up real quick.
I have some little bit of inside information from one of my buddies who spent the entire summer in Vegas.
I lied. The Potawatomi thing is the last weekend of October. They have some other events prior to that. It's close, right? Because Potawatomi Poker Room is closed.
Right.
They're not open. And I saw in this forum where people were pissed, like, "Oh, you're laying off poker dealers, but yet you're scheduling events that you need poker dealers for. Like that, who the hell is going to deal the tournaments?" But anyways, go ahead. What were you saying? Your buddy, what?
So they said that they're still trying to make the WSOP happen this year. They haven't given up on it yet.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. I think it's great. I think I'm the eternal optimist when it comes to stuff like that. I would love to see the WSOP happen. I think if the WSOP happened, I think the WSOP has two problems. One, it's got to get over the fact that people are probably there are still people who are afraid to play poker, right? Even with the precautions that are out there. Two, people are still wary about traveling. So that's another issue that they're going to have. And then three, you got to get the Nevada Gaming Board to be on board. The board on board with, are they still playing 4 or 5-handed? Like what's right?
They're playing 5-handed.
How the hell are you going to have a WSOP playing 5-handed? Are they hoping that they up it to like 8?
Clearly they're going to have to. I think they're going to.
What's the minimum that you think is realistic for the WSOP to be able to have events at the size that they know? And obviously it's going to be a smaller WSOP, which I think that could be an episode in itself of some of the pros and cons of that in general. But I mean, what's the minimum?
Remember, international travel is going to be way down just because of travel bans.
It's going to be a percentage of the normal amount of people that come. Like it's going to be a small fields, which in my mind is kind of cool because a smaller field means typically you'd have better odds of winning a bracelet. Which I think is kind of awesome. Granted, it's for somebody who wants to. Are you there to win tons of money? Then you want a bigger field. Even though your likelihood of winning is less, but the prize is much bigger. I kind of like the middle ground of a slightly smaller field, still get the prestige of winning a bracelet, and you're still winning a ton of money. It's just not, house buying money.
Yeah, it'll still be heaps
tons,
of money. Life-changing for most people. To answer your question, I think it's definitely 7.5.
7 and a hook?
Yeah, it's like definitely can't do it with 6. They can definitely do it with 8 because they have a lot of 8 max tournaments anyways, and a decent amount of 6 max tournaments. And I think most of their PLO is 8 max now too, and a lot of the mixed games is 7 max anyways because of the nature of it.
Right.
So
do they play no limit as? I'm sorry. Do they play no limit as 9-handed or 10?
Yes.
9-handed, right? I said 9 or 10, and you just said yes.
I'm pretty sure they might have some that are 10. I think maybe the Colossus or those
just
huge,
for table
500.
space, right? They have to.
But like the main event or anything like that,
those are 9-handed. Yeah. Okay.
So I think 8 is like an obvious slam dunk. They can definitely run it with 8.
I don't think they see a huge dip in numbers because of 8-handed. Now, do you think now jump down to 7 at 7-handed? How many people decide to stop not playing? And then you go to 6-handed, and I think you see a much bigger jump. 5-handed, you're down to
you're drawing dead.
20% of people that are okay with that.
Right. I mean, if they
1 out of 5.
If they got up to 6, and then the WSOP ran like a full 6 max schedule,
they might be able to get away with that. But that's going to be a negative factor that is going to affect attendance, affect prize pools, affect how many people are going to be there. Whereas,
I don't think they could run a 6 max main event.
I mean, they could.
You know what I mean?
They might have to.
They could. But yeah, 6 would be like, it's a fully different nature of a game.
It is. I mean, and that's what we're doing at CCG. It's 6-handed tables, so it's 6 max and when you go to final tables, you go to 7. But short of that, I mean, you're really playing shorthanded the whole time.
Yeah. So 7. I think 7's the minimum where they could get away with it. 8's a slam dunk. 6, they could do it, but I think that's where it would affect attendance and affect people that would travel there and play it. That would be another factor in
of why people don't want to go. Yeah,
right,
for sure.
Where 7 and 8, I don't think. Like me, if I was going to go, I don't think them saying everything's going to be 8-handed. Okay, cool. Now I'm not going to go. No.
Right.
Okay, if everything's 6-handed, maybe I'm not going to go now.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I can see that.
Encouraging that, my view on it without getting too is just like, come on, man. If they just reopened all the bars and things. Like, I don't think the nightclubs are open, but like the bars are open.
So that was my other question. So like in Vegas, are they still playing? You said they're still playing 5-handed. They're still doing all the regular stuff, correct?
Yeah. Now I think there might be some 6-handed play with the partitions, but I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe Jordan was saying that. I'm not sure if there's like specific requirements to make it so where they are actually socially distanced. I think they said, 5 people with no protection, but maybe there's some rules in there that's if you follow these guidelines, we can go up.
Right.
I'm not quite sure, but Jordan said there's a lot of partitions and stuff, and he got really drunk one day and kept throwing his cards over the partition instead of under, and it was making the dealer furious.
That's awesome.
It is, because it's kind of high to buck them way over that thing.
Oh, well, actually, the MSPT started today. They have they have an event. I mean, yes and no. They didn't actually start today. They're starting satellites for a tournament at the end of the month, the 28th, 29th, and 30th at the Grand Falls Casino Resort in Larchwood, Iowa. Iowa numbers are pretty good, right?
Yeah, I would go to Iowa.
Yeah, Iowa seems like socially distanced before COVID. So it's like, yeah, right. I get that. Your neighbors are like a quarter of a mile away from you. It's great.
Right. It's like the flyover state of all flyover states.
Yeah.
Iowa.
I'm actually going on a golf trip and staying in Iowa at the end of the month. It's like the week before this. We're going to go play John Deere in the Quad Cities.
Sweet.
So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
We'll see how that weirdness ensues.
So that's kind of encouraging, though. We have, this is kind of the point of this episode, right? I mean, we have something else.
Things are moving. Things are moving. And again, they're doing the same kind of thing that, all poker rooms are currently doing. Masks are required. I saw this really good meme. And it was like 90%. If one party has COVID and the other party and nobody's wearing masks, it's like 90% transfer ratio or whatever, transferency something or other. Then it was like, if the guy with COVID doesn't wear a mask, but you wear a mask, it's 30% that you'll get it. And then if both guys are wearing masks and one of them has it, you're at like
2%.
Yeah, it's like 1 and a hook, 1.5%. And then like the one underneath it is it's at 0%. It was one guy, like all of the pictures are facing each other, and then the very bottom one, they're both facing, like the guy's clearly walking away from the guy on the left, and it's underneath, it's like both wearing masks. Player starts, opening statements are, so I have aces under the gun and I raise, and the other guy's like, nope, and just turns around and walks away.
That's really
0% chance 0%. Of getting COVID. As well as, yeah, so if you're wearing a mask and telling bad beat stories, you have a 0% chance of getting COVID-19.
Right.
0. It's the only, short of abstinence, it is the number one way to ensure is just start telling bad beat stories and just, whoop, your chances of getting COVID are like 0.00001%. It's really pretty funny though, right? I think we should almost make t-shirts for that one. Let's talk about masks, because we're a month in. You and I, when we're at the events, have to wear masks the whole time. Typically at an event, you and I have never taken breaks, ever. Neither of us smoke. I don't smoke anymore. I haven't smoked in about 6 or 7 years. But we don't take smoke breaks. It's not like you're ever like, I'm going to go hang out and do this or that, right? Like we never, how often now do we need mask breaks?
I don't know, twice.
Yeah, I was going to say 3 times.
Dinner time.
Yeah, about every 3 to 4 hours, I'm just like,
Yeah.
I gotta take a break.
Right. Especially with me, I feel like because my nice N95 mask broke on Sunday, and then I went back up with the regular one, and I was like, oh man, I could do this a lot better. I feel like that really restrictive respirator mask makes me have to take breaks more. But I did the last 3 hours on Sunday with just the regular surgical mask, and it's bad, but it's definitely doable. I mean, it's definitely doable. I don't know.
I mean, it works. You get used to it much faster than I thought I would.
The worst part is the ears, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I wear glasses, so the worst part for me is glasses. So non-glasses wearers, I would say, ears are the worst part because your ears get a little red and raw, and I've noticed that for sure. Plus, now that I get haircuts, you have to wear a mask while doing it. I notice around my ears are not as clean as they normally are, as in the hair, I've got scragglers, which sucks. But yeah, besides the glasses thing, definitely my ears get a little sore. I also feel like I'm noticing that they're sticking out more than they've ever done before.
Well, yeah,
so I've got it in my brain that they're getting, I don't know, more Dumbo-y. That the mask is pulling my ears down.
The mask is pulling your ears out, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's funny. I want to give a shout out to the MSPT for their awesome Twitter game because I noticed through Twitter that MSPT is back in town. So, or not in town, but back doing events. And then I was like, I wonder what the HPT is doing. So then I just went to the HPT website and they're starting back up August 20th. HPT is back in Chicagoland for the biggest stops of the year. Come take a shot at Monster Payday at Ameristar East Chicago. Full schedule coming soon. They're not actually out yet. That's in Indiana. So do you think they're going to want to think they'll still do full face masks and everything? I mean, I'm assuming that's kind of standard now.
Because we have the face mask law in place.
What
mandatory face mask anywhere in Indiana right now.
So. Oh, it is. I don't know if it's a law, but it's a mandate. Whatever the case is.
He started off with it being a Class B misdemeanor and $1,000 fines or whatever, and then he got so much backlash for it.
It's just I get it. I don't know. I don't know. I'm torn. I can see I'm a pretty good. We're not going to go down the political rabbit hole here, but I do have a tendency. You and I, we can both safely say that we can kind of be in the middle on things. I can understand and listen to another side, even if I don't agree with it, and be like, okay, I concede some of these points. However, can you concede some of these points? You can have an actual conversation. I get why people don't want to wear it. I get it. It sucks. But here's the thing. If we could wear masks and it's for 6-8 months and then we don't have to wear them ever again, whatever, wear them. It's not that big a deal. Get through it. Let's just get through it and get back to normal life. If my options are not wear a mask and not go outside my home or wear a mask and go wherever the heck I want, I'll wear a mask and go wherever the heck I want.
Correct.
And that's what bothers me. It's there is no alternative of not wearing a mask and go wherever you want. That's not a thing anymore.
Yeah. And I think that even if you don't believe in them or you don't want to do it, just do it for the good of the, what's the worst the worst that happens is they don't work and you are inconvenienced for an hour.
And again, it's not that bad. I mean, it sucks, but it's not I'm in pain.
Well, especially, it sucks for us, but we're in kind of the minority of, we're in 14 hours a day.
Right.
So that sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the people that work at grocery stores work for 8-hour shifts and stuff like that, because I did that for full 5 years of my life. But the people that are going grocery shopping, I mean, it's 20 minutes.
It's an hour. Wear it. And go home. Be done. That's it.
Go home. Get in your car between malls and take it off, or outside and take it off. You know what I mean? It's
it does.
It's the worst thing is that it doesn't do anything, but it does. I mean, it's just good for society and whatever.
It does send me on massive, massive tilt when I see people wearing them in the car when they're driving by themselves.
Me too. I always just assume they're all Uber drivers and they're practicing for when they have to.
All right, you give people the benefit. You see that's a glass half full answer right there. I'm like, what is this ding dong dipshit doing wearing a mask in the car by himself? That's crazy. But I guess to each their own.
Town.
Yeah, to each their own. So HPT is coming back. MSPT is coming back. WSOP really wants to come back, but we're not quite sure how they're going to make that happen.
I saw this like comparison of like, this is way off topic, but it's kind of a long topic with the mask, but it'll be quick. It's this comparison of like, you can tell if somebody's good, like a good contributor to society, of whether or not they put like the shopping cart back in the shopping cart returns after they like take their groceries to the car. Because like, it's perfectly legal to just leave it.
Right.
But it's like
such a jerk move.
Shows if you're
such a jerk move.
It is a jerk move, but yeah. So they said that it directly correlates with, if you wear a mask, you'll probably take your cart back. And the people that don't wear their mask are the people that are just going to leave their cart because they don't care about society and they're like self-centered, and it's not really illegal to not do it. So
I honestly think leaving your shopping cart in the parking lot should be punishable by death. There should be a guy in a parking lot with a gun, and you get like a 30-second, you start driving away, he's taking shots at you. I see no excuse for it. Perfect example. I do it all the time. I love it. Now, granted, I'm pretty self-centered. I'm okay with saying that. Any self-centered person would say they're pretty okay with talking about themselves. I just go with the straight-up dude perfect kind of options, where when I'm done with my groceries, I try to find one that's like 30 yards away out in the back of the lot, and I'm ripping that thing. I'm going to try to make it. And then when I miss, it's a clang, and then everybody looks at me, and then I go running over there and I put it away. And it's fun. Like it's fun. I enjoy doing it. But yeah.
Now, what about the stores like Hobby Lobby or something where they don't have like outdoor cart retreats and all the carts are stored inside? Would you say
that's perfect?
You
don't take it outside.
Okay, don't take it outside.
Yeah, you don't want to bring it back? Don't take it outside.
What if you got a shit ton of...
Then I guess you're bringing it back to the store. Shame on Hobby Lobby for not having cart returns in the...
They're not open on Sundays. What do you expect?
Yeah, I only want Chick-fil-A on Sundays. That's the only time. Like, man, it sounds good, Chick-fil-A. Crap, it's Sunday. Right. They're not open. How do we end up on shopping carts?
I always take my cart back, but if it's like Hobby Lobby, I will be one of those people that like take it back to the front door, like in that little like general area. And then usually somebody like, but I will also like, if somebody leaves the cart by the front door and I'm walking in, I will use that cart.
Right.
So it's kind of like a halfway.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. I also noticed that like Home Depot, there's always like random carts all over the place, and they have far less than like a grocery store like cart returns in the parking lot. So like I get that, but I've never once done that. Or plan ahead. If you don't want to walk and you don't want to do it, park near the cart return. Like it's simple. It's not hard.
These are high level things.
These are next level. This is GTO, grocery shopping. You don't want to walk to return your cart? Park next to the damn cart return. There's always cart returns towards the end. You're going to have to walk a little bit more in the beginning. But when you're out there and you're done with your groceries, it's like, man, this is great. I got a little chip in for my dude perfect shot. It's easy.
And you can like get the old lady, like bring her cart back when she's like frail and doesn't want to walk all the way over there.
Yeah. I have noticed.
They're going to take it back. Anybody that's 80 years old, they're going to walk to that. But, they do put a cart return right next to the handicap
spot. Yeah. Makes sense.
Very logical.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, let's do a quick talk about online poker. How is the app world going? You're more in tune to knowing kind of how that goes. I don't play in any of the apps. You occasionally will play some Chinese poker, but you definitely hang out more with like the crowd of people that play on the apps. So how's that been going? Like the app game in general, is it still like super popular?
It's very wavy.
Right.
I honestly think if I can go through the life of the app since quarantine, it was so busy in March and April that the apps were shutting down because they didn't have the bandwidth to hold. They're 9 p.m. every night. Everything's laggy. Can't leave the table. I mean, it's just like a terrible product. All the way down to like May, June, start of July, where people are like, it's summer, I got soaked, I'm going to go outside, quarantine's kind of over. It's swung downward to where like a lot of clubs have crashed and the action isn't as great, and all that are left are the good pros that want to play every single day. So it's kind of swung to that, and then back to now, like summer's kind of over, live poker is happening, but not to the extent that people want, and it's kind of picking back up again. It's going through waves. So overall, it's
ebbs
always
and
been
flows.
there, but it was maximum in March and April.
Yeah.
Then down to really thin out when the weather got nice and people got let out of their homes and stuff started opening. And now it's kind of like, man, we're kind of, summer's winding down, kids are going back to school, that kind of stuff. It's picking back up a little bit just because I still think that, we're open, charity poker's open, but I mean, that's still, and we're at 50 people capacity. We probably get, 100 raw customers a day, maybe 120 raw customers a day. I mean, that still leaves 90 to 95% of the poker world in Chicago
not playing live. Yeah. Or having nowhere to go.
Right. Or not comfortable, or don't want to play safe. Like there's a whole
bunch of Venn diagrams of what's going on. But yeah, I was just curious to see how kind of on the upswing a little bit, but certainly not the upswing that started when mid-March through April, where it was just like,
I mean, I would say that
the freaking Wild West.
50 to 75% of live poker players that played all the time were probably gotten into some room on some club or some site or some app, and then that the fish get soaked, and some people think it's rigged, and some people just lose, and and then all of a sudden it kind of got resaturated out. But now it's kind of on the upswing. So, overall, people try it. Some people like it. Some people don't. I mean, to be honest, I don't even really like it, but it's the only place to play. So it's just one of those things.
Yeah, because the PLO games have not really come back at all, right?
They haven't. And I think the PLO games are going to be more, I think PLO is going to be more appy/home gamey until we can put out a good product in terms of PLO, because we talked about it. It's a 6-max game. PLO players don't want to wait. You don't want to be number 3 on the list of a 6-max game.
And it's not It's not the 6-max thing that people don't like, because I don't mind playing PLO 6-handed.
Correct.
The problem is if you've got 6 guys and you get a big hand and 2 guys get busted and now you're down to 4-handed, what happens? Game down.
It's instantly game down.
And if you don't have a slew of people, right? And it's also shitty because it's like if you get like 9 players and you're like, now you're 3 people waiting, you could never get in. If guys just keep rebuying in and like the right people are winning and the wrong people and the right people are losing, the guys that are going to keep firing bullets, like the game could just be stuck and you're just sitting there for hours not being able to play. It's a weird time for the 6-handed, where like at least 9-handed, then you could play like a short-handed feeder game, and like the game, it's an easier selling point. Whereas now with the app and so many people are on the app,
there's 5 games,
right?
So it's like, even if you're 4th on the list, it won't be that long
it's
because
quick.
Somebody.
Even when you're 12th on the list, like guys, when you come in, and girls, people, there you go, people, when you come into the room and you find out there's 12 people on the list, but 8 of them are call-ins and 4 are live players. Like, granted, you're number lucky 13 next, but there's only 4 live players in front of you. And the thing is, the way it works is you get called and you got 5 minutes to report back to the poker room. At least at CCG you do. You get 5 minutes because, like, again, people are checking in and then going to wait in their cars or going to wait out in the lobby or going downstairs outside to smoke or just hang out and take their masks off. Like, they disappear. They're gone. I'm going to run to Mr. Sub. We're at the max. I'm going to go to Mr. Sub. Yeah, just roll me. So, like, don't get discouraged by being number 13 on the list, in the no limit games, because there's 4 or 5 games running, 3, 4, 5 games running, and like that goes super fast. Like it's not bad. When there's one PLO game going and you're 3rd on the live list, and the other 2 guys are literally lurking about at the table waiting to get in, there's no chance you're jumping in line. There's 0 chance. And again, depending on the game, it could be hours, could be 5 minutes, but that's a much longer wait. I would rather be number 13 on a 5-game 1-3 list than 2 on a PLO one game. Correct?
Yep.
You're going to get in faster at number 13 on average than you would in a 2-table or at a 2nd on a 1-table PLO game. So long story short, PLO has been a little bit tougher to play live lately.
But rightfully so. I mean, yeah. And
it's just the way, it's just the nature of it.
It's just one of those things.
Yeah. Different players, different types of advantages. We're coming up on 40 minutes. Wow, it literally just turned to 40 minutes when I was saying we were coming up on 40 minutes. It's awesome.
It's kind of crazy.
I did want to do one more shout out. So it's going to be towards the end here, so that way your boys can just fast forward all the way to the end to this part, 40 minutes in, and figure out what it is. I was on Facebook last night. I couldn't sleep. I had fallen asleep early with the kids, like before bedtime. And then I, put them to bed, and then Lindsay and I were doing our thing, watching stuff, and I couldn't fall asleep last night. So anyways, I'm on Facebook, and I'm just like going through stuff, and our boy Dan, I won't give out his last name in case he don't want anybody to know who we're talking about, but everybody knows Main Event Dan. I gave him that name. He just fired like 14th on a global poker. ACR. So we're not endorsing nor condemning any ACR play. However, it was like a massive tournament, yeah?
7 million guaranteed.
Jesus Christ almighty.
Bigger than like any of the WSOP events.
Ooh, that's bananas. Wild West. Poker players are crazy sometimes. But put aside the ACR stuff. What did he actually get? He got like 14th place?
Yeah, I think 14th place, 42K.
Yeah, 42,000. That's gross. Super great.
Yeah, it was like 1.55 million to first and over $1 million to second.
Two things I want to talk about this. One, that's pretty awesome for Dan. Congratulations. That's awesome. Jordan's probably mildly jealous of him a little bit, right? Or he was definitely texting Bunce like, this is what you got to do to get here and there.
Yeah, I think he was, we just said his name twice.
Yep, you did. I didn't say it once.
Jordan, I think was there sweating him.
That's awesome. It's part of the nature of online poker. You know that you're kind of probably playing against a team of people when you get super deep in a tournament like that, right?
Yeah.
So is it one of those things where it's like, I know I'm going to be up against like a group of guys playing together. Ultimately, one person is going to make the decision. It's Dan in that case. But I mean, he's going to have other guys with him that are superior, like not superior, very good players. I don't want to say superior to Dan. I just meant superior players. Like they are legit players. Jordan's won 2 WSOP rings. Like he is a accomplished winner of poker tournament stuff. Couldn't think of anything else better than that.
Yeah, and I think that when it gets that deep, that like Jordan really doesn't have any say. But there's definitely like he doesn't really have a say, but he can kind of maybe stop something like what's
a big mistake
from happening.
Yeah, big mistake.
It's like
from happening.
if you're driving a vehicle, like the
like, whoa, bro, we're getting on. Jordan is there for the
guy in the driver's side seat. He could still stop an accident from happening. Like, whoa, look at that.
Yeah, well, it's like Jordan is like the those bumps on the side of the road. You know, like when you start veering off, it's like like Jordan in that scenario. It's like the guy going whoa, 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 whoa.
There's only one driver,
you don't triple barrel bluff here. This is a terrible idea. You know, even though he could still do it if he wanted to. But anyways, I thought that was really cool. I wanted to give Dan a shout out. So congratulations.
Sweet. And he did stream it on Discord. I did watch a little bit of it. I watched his busting hand.
I was only following through Facebook, which I thought was really cool.
Ace King and the chip leader opened the button with 8-7 suited and then had to call off Dan's shove because it was like 10, 11 bigs. And the 8-7 suited flopped a 7 or an 8. And that was it.
All right. So last question. This is what we're going to close out with for live poker COVID part 5. If you won $1.5 million on ACR, would you be nervous at all about
not anymore
anything?
I take that straight Bitcoin. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, you're riding the Bitcoin waves. You're just like, cool, give me some Bitcoin.
Yeah, not only that. I mean, you know you're going to get it. It's not going. It's going to be. You're going to get it, and it's going to be legit, and it's going to be in a secure wallet, and it's going to be anonymous, and all the things that. All the reasons why Bitcoin is great.
The cryptocurrency, yeah.
It is for for ACR and Bitcoin go very well together. So no, it wouldn't be. I mean, if there was no Bitcoin and you had to get a check or a money order or a bank wire or something like that, I would be nervous as hell. I probably wouldn't even play in the tournament because I would be too scared of what would happen if I won $1.5 million. And they're like, all right, cool, maximum cash out $10K a week.
Right.
And it's going to be coming from Antigua, and who knows what the United States government's even going to cash a check.
Yeah, even if they'll cash it. Well, anyways, HPT's back, MSPT is back, WSOP is dying to get in the game. We're hoping that'll happen. Brandon, on to end this with, if the WSOP happens in October or November, okay, don't answer before I get through the whole thing.
I already know my answer. Go ahead.
If it's back and they're playing, you said, let's just say 8-handed. It's just 8-handed. CDC comes out, it's like, yeah, zero risk for transmission by touching poker chips. So I'm really sweetening this deal of fantasy. CDC says totally cool to play poker. No worries about anything. Wear a mask and you've got 0.1% of getting COVID if somebody else happens to have it at the table. Are you going to the WSOP in Vegas?
I'm not, no.
Still not out. Still out.
I'm out, but I think it'd be really cool. I know a lot of people would be in.
I don't know what I would do. I don't think my wife would let me go anyways, but it would be fun. All right, that's going to do it for episode 23. We did forget to mention that this is number 23. Michael Jordan, shout out. Yeah. Brandon, finish the freaking Last Dance because I want to talk about it next week because that man was a gambling fool, and I want to talk about the best line of that entire series, which is, I don't have a gambling problem. I have a competitive problem. That's it for episode 23 of The Overlay. Make sure you hit that subscribe or follow button wherever you listen to us. And please, 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 folks, if you listen and you like us, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps us out tremendously. It helps us search better. It'll show up with other poker podcasts that, like the really famous ones, like I don't even think Joey Ingram puts his stuff up on Apple Podcasts anymore, but Danny Negreanu's or the Barstool one, Cracking Aces, we will search with them, and that's a huge way to get a bigger audience, and that's certainly something that we would enjoy. So if you could leave us a review, that would be fantastic. Other than that, thanks for listening. We will catch you next time. Brandon, lead us out. Say goodbye.
Farewell, everyone.
Farewell.
Episode 24 is going to be great.
See you in Vegas in a couple of months. Bye, everybody.